Good evening and welcome to the Trinity Club of Hartford series event. Tonight's event is entitled Trinity College and Parkville, Neighbors in a Neighborhood Renaissance. I am Carmen Leslie Rourke, and it is an honor to be the president of the Trinity Club of Hartford. The club is a group of dedicated Trinity alumni residing in the Hartford area, as well as parents and friends of Trinity College. We provide scholarships, plan events, and keep alumni connected to the college, Hartford, and to each other. Additionally, we work with the Office of Alumni Relations and other departments in the college to plan events such as the speaker series event this evening. I would like to introduce Matt Smith, class of 82, a member of the executive committee, who will be our moderator this evening. Matt's family's Trinity history runs deep. His father, Dave Smith, class of 52. His mom, Joan Smith, earned her master's at Trinity, and 5 of 8 of Matt's siblings went to Trinity, as well as a number of his extended family. Matt met his wife at Trinity, Ellen Carpenter Smith, also from the class of 82. Their daughter, Diana, graduated with the class of 2019. Matt will now begin our programming for the evening.
Thanks, Carmen, and good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Our talk will be followed by a question and answer session, so please type your questions in the Q&A box at the bottom of the screen. The Trinity Club of Hartford Speaker Series is dedicated to informing and educating members of the Trinity College community about issues central to Trinity's vitality. The objective of the series is to provide an honest view of an issue from an informed perspective. For tonight's talk, we have selected Trinity and the neighborhood to the college's west, Parkville. This vibrant community has been the focus of energy and investment that has brought a new wave of growth in recent years. Tonight, we will learn of the plans to continue Parkville's vitality from Trinity alumni working in the community and Carlos Mouta, the founder of Parkville Management Group. Jeff Devereux, Trinity College class of 2012, is a co-founder and partner of Breakfast, Lunch, and Dinner, a community venture established in the Parkville neighborhood in 2014. The studio is most well known for its event work. It created the Parkville Street Food Series, the No Good Market, the region's New Year's Eve event, First Night Hartford, and the Hartford Bonanza and Independence Day event. Breakfast, Lunch, and Dinner strives to work with community partners to establish connectivity and inclusive ecosystems in industries like retail, food, and beverage. After graduating from Trinity with a Bachelor of Science in Psychology, Jeff worked in South Africa. He returned to Hartford in 2014 and has been living and working in Parkville since then. Carlos Mouta has been an investor in the Parkville community for over 30 years. A Hartford native since 1975, Carlos attended Hartford Public Schools, post-college, and Central Connecticut State University. He returned to Hartford after school to work at the Hartford Current. While there, he found his true passion in Hartford real estate. Carlos began as a property manager of over 600 apartments under real estate developer Al Pedamonte. Working at Hartford Insurance in the real estate department, Carlos founded Parkville Management in 1989. His passion is converting former industrial properties like the Gray Pay Station Telephone Company, Columbia Bicycle Factory, Hartford Rubber Works into mixed-use buildings where residents can live, work, and play. His enthusiasm for the Parkville neighborhood is so strong, Carlos developed and opened Parkville Market in 2020 at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. The market is a vibrant space and going strong in 2022. He is currently in the process of converting the former Whitney Manufacturing Company into 189 residential units and over 80,000 square feet of commercial space. Carlos is on the board of directors for Connecticut Children's Hospital and is involved in numerous nonprofit associations that are working to improve the Parkville community. With those introductions, I'd like to begin the discussion by asking our speakers to describe their current involvement with the Parkville neighborhood and share their thoughts on what is driving the neighborhood's growth. And please, members of the audience, type any questions for our speakers into the Q&A box at the bottom of the screen. So Jeff, let's begin with you. What is the latest with breakfast, lunch, and dinner and its involvement with Parkville?
Hey, thanks for the introduction, Matt. A fun fact, I actually knew Matt's daughter because she was an intern for us before I even had a chance to meet Matt, though I think your wife also works right next door to us here in my office at 1429 too. So it's lots happening, all connected here over in Parkville. So thanks for setting this up and thanks for having us. I've had the pleasure of working and living in Parkville since 2014. Carlos was one of the first folks I met in the neighborhood. Before I started Breakfast Lunch Dinner, had another venture that we were helping to start. It was a shoe company. We were making handmade shoes out of Hartford denim space. You might remember on Arbor Street, Carlos, before they moved over to Bartholomew, and then we got our own space in one of your other buildings, Carlos, at 1477 Park Street for a long time. I eventually had started sort of Breakfast Lunch Dinner on the side as a side project. It became a big enough thing where I was able to step away and start doing that full time eventually, and moved across the street to 1429, which Carlos was at the time still involved with. Then there was a little bit of time where he wasn't. Now he's back involved, and I've been living at 1429 Park Street since 2014. So my journey has been inextricably linked to Carlos's work, and for a long time. We've made the neighborhood home for a long time. I've made it my home for a long time, and it's an interesting, exciting place to be. It's a place when I first got back to Hartford after studying and working abroad, was that it was a place where I was finding like-minded people. It was a place where I was finding entrepreneurial energy. It was a place where I was finding, young creative folks living and working and hanging out. And that was something that was only growing at the time. And this is 8-9 years ago. A lot of the spaces that we were using was spaces that Carlos and other developers were slowly sort of converting from industrial spaces to low-cost spaces. It's an old story in terms of doing that sort of industrial conversion into creative and artistic spaces, but it was kind of finally happening in Hartford, maybe happening again in Hartford, but happening in the Parkville neighborhood for the first time. It's an interesting neighborhood. They were, making cars, making bikes, making typewriters, making all sorts of stuff in this neighborhood. The building that I'm sitting in right now, they made tires in for a long time, and then all sorts of other things afterwards. I'm sitting here in my office in 1429 Park Street in Parkville at the moment. My apartment's upstairs. I take the elevator to work. So it's sort of how I live my life day to day here.
So Jeff, you came back from South Africa in 2014, and what attracted you to Parkville versus, say, any other neighborhood in in Hartford?
Yeah, no, that's a fair question. And it's, I actually didn't initially move back immediately to Parkville. I moved to Hartford in 2013, and I lived over in a different neighborhood, and I found it to be a little boring. I found it to be like not a lot of activity, and we found the opportunity here. It was a 4-bedroom kind of giant apartment for a good price, and I had 4 partners, myself and 3 other partners were all willing to kind of like shack up together, live together, try to make a go at starting something off the ground. And we found this amazing place to do it at 1429. And it's a place we wanted to be. It was the energy we wanted. It gave us the opportunity to do stuff like start No Good Market right outside our essentially back door on the side of the building here. And it was an interesting, fun time where it felt like a lot was sort of possible. Not to say that's gone away, but lots have changed since 2014.
Okay. And Carlos, I'm very familiar with 1429 because my wife worked at Design Source, which has a fair amount of square footage there, and a very thriving home furnishings business. Tell us a little bit about your, introduction to Parkville and how your involvement just continued to grow with there.
My introduction. Oh, first of all, I want to thank you guys for having me and apologize. Being a little dark, I'm in my car. So if you can't see me really well, I'm sorry. Yeah, so I moved to Parkville, Frog Hollow in 1975. I was born in Africa, in Mozambique. It's the Indian Ocean. So we came here and I had no other choice. That's when I came. That's what my folks brought me. So, very different from where I came from. And I had to adapt. I ended up going to Hartford High, as you mentioned earlier. And, I went to, after Central Connecticut, I kind of just stayed home, and after working for the Colonel for a while, I didn't really like corporate life. And I decided to take a job in real estate without Peter Monte. Never owned anything. I rented all my life. So it was just, probably, the best thing I ever did, and I just loved it, what I did. I provided good homes for folks, and everywhere we went, we improved the neighborhood. So it was just something that I enjoyed doing it.
Mhm. And where did that start? Where was that first project, and how did that all come about?
My first investment was in 1987. It was on Kibbe Street in Parkville, the same place where my dad owned a house. I bought it in, my dad had a house on 89 Kibbe, and I bought it 47 Kibbe.
Okay.
It was a 9-unit apartment. I bought it with my brothers and my cousins, and we kind of rehabbed the whole thing. So that's how we started.
Wow. Okay. So from 9 units to now, your latest project is almost 200 units?
Yes, 189 units. That's going to be pretty different and pretty cool. I mean, it's not my first rehab. I pretty much, as you mentioned, we have a bunch of other buildings in Parkville, including 1429. But this is going to be a little bit different. We're gonna make it much more modern than the other ones. We have our cabinets being imported from Italy. We're gonna have everything included, unlike the new apartments in downtown, where they nickel and dime all the tenants with trash and heat and water. We're gonna include everything. We're going to include all utilities, including internet, including trash, including parking, including everything. And we're going to have an amazing space for amenities. We're going to have a beer garden with a restaurant. We're going to have a gym. We're going to have the squash courts. I'm looking to do a Turkish kind of bath type of house thing there. So I'd like to think outside the box, and I take what the building offers me.
Okay. And along those lines, what needless to say, it was a former area, lots of factories. What are some of the challenges that you both have found in either Carlos, with the work you're doing, like revitalizing and rehabilitating properties there, or Jeff, in the work you're doing with breakfast, lunch, and dinner? What are some of the challenges that are facing Parkville? Jeff, you go.
I think Carlos and I will have very different challenges because we have very different businesses. But from my perspective, I think as a small growing business, like I said, I started with 3 partners, and it was really only one of us full time for a long time. We're now 14 people on the team, and we do work, a lot of our work here in Parkville, but we also do work in and around the rest of the city, but also in other cities in the region too. And I think that one of the challenges in Parkville is, I think really most of what we're talking about tonight is sort of the industrial corridor of Parkville. The neighborhood is amazing. It's, in my view, Park Street's the most walkable place in Hartford County as far as I'm concerned. So I think that's, a wonderful, beautiful piece of it. But as far as this sort of industrial corridor that Carlos has been so integral to, the challenge for me as a small business is like, we want to build and invest, and I can't afford to buy 100,000 square foot building because we're not that big. We couldn't find a way to make use of it right away. So our challenge is that we need to find something that we can bite off that's a little smaller at the moment. But we're excited to continue to find ways to do that and here in the neighborhood.
Okay, fantastic. And Carlos, how about from your perspective?
Yes, Jeff, the city's going to own a building soon on Francis Avenue. This is the old Peruvian club.
The sign's up. I've called.
But they haven't bought it yet, from what I heard. I just figured that's a good start.
They put the sign up before they bought it. That's
what I heard.
That wouldn't surprise me, but
that's what I heard. So, okay. Well, challenge has been from the beginning is how hard it is to have banks to lend you money. Being someone that never owned real estate in the beginning, it was always a struggle to borrow money. Even today, I don't have investors. I know I have friends of mine now. I have Bill Howard, but I had maybe another friend that was an investor. But normally, I do everything with my own money. And for banks to lend money, an example, in 1429, took me 3 refinances to get the whole job done. Nobody would give me the money at once. So I would have to do phase 1, get it up and running, and then refinance again phase 2, and then phase 3. So, that takes a lot longer time and it costs a lot more money. It's just been unfortunate with my projects, and also unlucky to me is like mostly 1429, the Plaza, Pope Commons. I always end up doing stuff at the worst financial crisis. The market was COVID, 2001, 2002 was 1429. And 2008 was the Plaza, but somehow I just get it done. I don't know how to fail, and I won't fail, until I probably croak, But that's just me. I'm always finding another way to do it. So, but I've been able to do what I've been doing, at the worst times possible. And just even now with interest rates rising, since I started doing 237 Hamilton, interest rates went from like 4% to 6.7%.
Yeah.
So it's just challenging, but you got to believe in yourself. You got to believe in the neighborhood. You got to believe in the people that are in the neighborhood. Like I built the market for the neighborhood. I didn't build it for tourism. I didn't build it for folks, from other cities. When I say Hartford, is any town that touches Hartford. Hartford is such a small city that in most cities, West Hartford, East Hartford, Newington, Bloomfield, all will be Hartford. You drive in LA for 30 minutes, you're still in LA. You drive 30 minutes here, you're in Waterbury. So, it's a very different, but so, when I say I built, for the people in Parkville, in Fragalo, and in Hartford, but also did it where folks from the surrounding areas of Hartford would love and enjoy to come. And I wanted to give an opportunity for people to start their own business, people that have had their own business. And I'm doing the same thing in real estate. I've developed smaller properties, and I'm from 5 units. Now I'm doing 62 units in various places. And once I rehab them, I'm giving the business people, let's say a retail place, an opportunity to buy their business for less money than they pay me rent. But unfortunately, I've had no takers. Believe it or not, I'm offering people to own their own space for less money that they pay me rent, and I've had no takers. So it's not for lack of trying. Hartford has the lowest homeownership out of all the big cities in Connecticut. and I'm doing the best, but I don't know. There's no magic. People are gonna do what they're gonna do, and I'm gonna do what I've been doing. That's
Okay.
it.
All right. No,
Yeah, I
very
think
good.
to Carlos's point, I mean, I think on a micro level here in Hartford, the reality is that there's people in Hartford know what's going on inside of Hartford, but outside of that, in Parkville, it was, we would build it and they would come, but it wasn't like, institutions were getting behind it. It wasn't like big banks were getting behind it. It wasn't those things. If Carlos probably decided to invest in apartments downtown, Carlos would be, he'd be in vacation in Maui or something right now, or, but because, the attention is different. The way that people think about it is different. The knowledge is different, the connections or whatever. And, we need people like Carlos who want to invest in things that people seem to care less about. And eventually that people start to take serious once they realize that the right energy, the things that we need in the city and in the community are going to come out of places like, the spaces that he's building. But it's, it's an uphill battle, but, I think Carlos has shown that the people will come and that the things will start to happen.
No, very good. In fact, I've got a question from Stan Marcus here that actually speaks to Parkville and other neighborhoods within Hartford. Many other neighborhoods in Hartford are in terrible shape and appear somewhat hopeless. Examples include large swaths of North Main Street and large swaths of Weathersfield Avenue. What does your experience in Parkville tell you about what can be done in those and other poor neighborhoods in Hartford?
Is that a question for me?
Yeah, Carlos, probably best if you could start first.
Well, one of the things I decided long ago is that I was going to invest in one area. I could have bought cheaper deals in Waterbury, New Haven, Bridgeport, but I'm the person that likes to be, likes to do. I like to see my properties, even though all my properties are within a 1 mile radius. Sometimes there's 30 days I don't go by my property. I mean, when I don't go inside, I go by them all the time. I may not go inside, So, I believe that Parkville had tremendous potential. Now, lucky for us, for Parkville, we had 5 or 6 large buildings. The only building that was destroyed was the Royal Typewriter, where now we Stop and Shop. So we're very lucky. Very little has been demoed. So we're very lucky to keep those treasures. And whereas the areas you are mentioned, that there's been no true developers. And the reason I think Parkville is successful because I kept on it and kept on and kept on it. I mean, even though Parkville Market was not my best project or my biggest project, it was the one that created the most attention to Parkville. Like we all need, one lucky thing to bring the attention, bring the light to it. And I think Parkville was it. But 1429 was by far my biggest and best project, I believe. Until I left, and now I'm back on it. But yeah, I mean, I just thought about it. I always, I'd go to the cities. My kids went to school in New York and DC, and I go abroad. And I always looked at Parkville at all the ingredients. We just needed more developers, and I was always hoping new developers would come, but they didn't. And when they did come, they didn't do much of an improvement. Al Piemonte was the only one that I encouraged him to come in and buy Real Artways building. And he did, he did improve that building quite a bit. As you know, now that was bought by Real Artways. So they don't have true, developers. And it's, you look at, they probably got more funding, especially the North End, Main Street and Albany Avenue's probably got 10 times more funding than Parkville has, and they still nowhere. The people can't agree with each other. I don't know. I don't know what their problem is, but they got a problem.
Mhm.
And whereas in Parkville, we always got along with Parkville NRZ. We always got along with the senior center. We got along with everyone. We always thought of the people first, the people of Parkville.
Hmm.
People say, "Where I live?" I said, "I live in Hartford. I sleep somewhere else, but I
Uh-huh.
live in Hartford."
Right.
And
Yeah.
so I just think that we had the people that didn't have egos.
Mhm.
Everybody wanted to work together. When Jeff came, I offered Jeff all the help. So we have no egos. I mean, what's egos for? We're all doing this because we care and we love it. We're not doing this so I can be, this or that. Like I said, if I wanted to get more money, I would have invested somewhere else. I like
Mhm.
what I do. I love the difference I'm making. Even though I came to this country with no money, I still believe in providing people opportunities. Somebody helped me along the way, and I want to help people along the way. I mean, and I believe that, always, I love Brooklyn. I wanted to always say to Brooklynize Hartford. I was just in Brooklyn not too long ago, and I went to Industry City.
Mm.
Jeff, I don't know if you know Industry City. What an incredible space. I mean, and I believe we could do the same thing. We just need folks from the state level, from the city level, to believe in us and really, you know, uh, put their money where we're putting our money. Everything I'm doing is from my money. It's
Mhm.
not investment money. The DCD was supposed to put up a grant for something like 33 to 50 million. We've yet to see their money.
Mm.
Where's that money coming? So it's a lot of talk and no action.
Mhm.
I'm sorry that I don't I'm apologizing to going on long, but we have the Connecticut Fast Track, $1 billion spent on that almost. And it's now our Parkville station is nothing but homeless and drug dealers.
Huh.
What is the state? What is the state advertising the fast track as a great thing, what it could be, but we need to be safe. It needs to be, the ridership needs to be safe. It took us a year to get something for the city, for the police, Hartford police and the state to get some sort of an agreement. Are we going to police the station? I mean, it's just, we need help.
Yeah.
We need help, and we need it from everyone. If we're going to be what the potential, I think we can be 80% better than we are today. But
Mhm.
we need everyone's efforts, including the state, to help us, promote the fast track. The fast track should be a place from New Britain to Hartford that each stop should have something. Oh, this stop is Parkville Market, Real Art Ways, Hog River.
Mhm.
Each stop, and the one down by the New Park Brewery should be, you stop here, you go to Home Depot, you go here, you go there. Why are we
Mhm.
not doing that? I mean, that thing costs us 18 to 20 million a year because it doesn't pay for itself, especially now it's free rides. Why aren't we investing money to get people to ride it so their deficit is lower?
Mhm. Yeah.
It, it,
No. Well, I mean, what definitely comes out, Carlos, is and again, I've said this in the opening comments. I mean, you have a very deep passion that has been just building, across all the decades that you've been involved, and it sounds like that's a huge difference between what's going on in Parkville versus North Main Street or Weathersfield Avenue. Is you've got a driver like yourself who's getting things moving and keeps them moving. I was going to say, Jeff, what is your view on that as well?
Um, I think I wouldn't be so harsh in the other neighborhoods. First of all, I was at an event this morning at on Windsor Street in the North End at Max Lithari's facility at Express Kitchens with the Boston Fed, and he's got an operation there that probably employs more Hartford residents than any business in the city, and it's not in a residential neighborhood. It's in the North Meadows.
Hmm.
But Parkville, the residents of Parkville aren't immune from the same challenges that these other neighborhoods are. Like, I wouldn't want to separate us in that way, just because we have some great buzz going for things that are happening and developments that are happening. And, the residential challenges in this city are citywide. The realities of our disconnectivity in the city and in the state are true of every city. And, I don't know that. Those challenges are things that we're necessarily here to address, but they're big picture challenges, but they're things that it's going to take. The development of local jobs is going to take the development of local housing. It's going to take a lot of things from a lot of different people, because there have been decades of those things not going in the right direction. I certainly relate to Carlos's sentiments on the fast track. I think I was, for one, very hoped for it, and I certainly was someone who was using it and making use of it when it first happened. And I think make it a little bit more clear what's going on there. Essentially, it became a place that it was no one's territory to police, and for whatever reason, it ended up being a place where folks were congregating, and no one was telling them not to do that. And it definitely got out of hand, and they still haven't really gotten wrapped their created a solution. I noticed some more police activity there of late, and it's certainly unfortunate. I don't think that's true of other Parkville or other fast track stop sites. Just a bizarre facet of the one in Parkville, which is certainly poorly, poor combination of factors leading to that. It's not the only stop in our neighborhood. The other one's essentially just a stop and shop, so it doesn't really go anywhere else. But
right. Well, yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, typically, a strategy for transportation systems was to have destinations that people would want to go to. And actually, it was the transportation systems that set those up. It's interesting. You have fast track. I mean, it's a little different here, but you have fast track, and Carlos points out how, do people know all the places that the fast track stops at, so that you can kind of take that strategy of, look, here are the destinations, it does go to get more people down in those areas. That brings up a question from Jamie Bratt. Has proximity to the fast track made a noticeable difference in your lease up rates and event attendance?
I don't believe so. Actually, people from their experience, the fast track is not a good experience. I mean, COVID has not helped. I have to say that. COVID has not helped, but no, I don't think so. People, unfortunately, are still driving. This is why I have a problem with parking. We're trying to build a parking garage with Mingo for the Hartford Parking Authority. Everybody drives, and the fast track could be a great place where we have less cars, so we don't need as much parking. And that's my problem. The state doesn't advertise. We could advertise on TV, about the fast track, and that's one of my, I've never had a problem, voicing my opinion, but I just think that if you're losing 18 to 20 million a year, it's our money, our taxpayer money.
Sure. I don't know that I see it as a cost or a loss. I mean, we don't ever talk about that the roads owe us money, but it's the same thing. And I think the ridership on the fast track, all things considered, could be a lot worse. And it is probably in pretty decent shape. I think part of the challenge with Parkville is, and why it's not going to help someone like Carlos, who's worried about, amenities for residents, is where it's longer to take the fast track than it is to drive for Parkville, because we are so close to downtown. We're 2 stops from downtown here in Parkville. So if I was to walk to the fast track, wait for the fast track to come, and then get downtown, it might be the fastest it could be is 15 minutes, and the slowest it could be is 25 or 30. And I could drive there in 6 minutes or 5 minutes or something. So that's just like it's not quite efficient for our particular location, and the the driving situation at the moment.
Yeah.
To Jamie's question about event attendance, we've certainly seen folks take the fast track from other places. And it's certainly been something that, we wish there was more of. And we've encouraged people to do it, particularly when there's been things like parking challenges for some of our biggest events around here. But it's something that we hope, continues to be a good amenity for the neighborhood.
Okay. And then Carlos, I have another question here from Margaret McGovern regarding rental apartments. How expensive are the rental apartments in the Parkville area? And this is coming from an alumni thinking of returning to Hartford.
I mean, I still think that we're more reasonable than in downtown. I mean, we're a little bit different. The apartments in Parkville, they're not like cookie cutter like a lot of the units downtown. They're different. They're loft style apartments. A lot of these apartments, because of the age of the building, that we may include utilities, all utilities. Some we may include we may include heat, but no electricity, or vice versa. So it's a little bit different, because I've had to, I have 3 buildings that at one point I renovated them all to be offices. Then 2008 came and they were 100% full. 2008 came, the housing crash, and then I got lots and lots of people, office space that left or shrunk. So I began to turn them into apartments. So you kind of, you can't just take the footprint is different to every apartment. So you'll go in and you see apartments that no 2 are alike. So that's a different, and depends, I think that in the next 3 to 5 years, it's going to be even, much more different. Right now, people probably are aware that one Prospect is the building that's right on the corner of Prospect and the Park Road. They're adding 300 units. They're right next to Parkville, so they're gonna bring lots of folks. It's like I said, it's the closest. You cannot get any closer to Parkville than that. So I think we're gonna grow as a community. I think it's gonna be, people are gonna feel safer. A lot of stuff is perception. So the perception sometimes is still not favorable, but I think it's getting better. So look, I've been out doing this for 35 years and I'm not stopping anytime soon. I just need help. I need other folks to come in and help me out, get this done faster. That's
sure.
it.
And just one follow-up question just on those apartments. What would you say the square footage range is in the apartments you're building?
They range from 400 square feet to about 2,700 square feet, except where Jeff lives. That apartment is like 4,000 square feet.
Oh my gosh, plenty of room. Oh, fantastic. All right, great. Thanks. Have another question from Jamie Bratt and Jeff. This is directed to you. If you had a magic wand, what retailer, entertainment, or employer would you place in Parkville in the next 2 years to catalyze further development with that unique Parkville dynamic?
I think like total magic wand wishful thinking would be to see some kind of greenway built along the Park River through Carlos's future vision, I imagine. For those who don't know, because it's hard to see, there's a river that runs essentially into Pope Park and goes underground there, but it's above ground behind that, and it goes through a large old recycling facility that the city has not taken ownership, that essentially runs behind the Stop and Shop, and it runs essentially all the way to the development where Walmart is off of Flatbush. And it's a big, beautiful area. And if you could connect that, if you could make that a biking trail that can connect to the bike trail that goes further into the south end and things like that, I think that would be, it'd be magical. It'd be magic to have a park and magic to have a dedicated bike path to make those things more realistic in this community. Can very quickly connect to Newington and to West Hartford as well, which would be great, fairly large scale connectivity in the community. I think in my mind, the best small businesses that are around, we've got down the street from us on Bartholomew here, there's There's a couple of local manufacturers who do, kind of classic Connecticut companies like machine shops and things like that. And, if one of those grows here in Hartford, it'll be really transformative. Some of that is, the nature of the industry they get in, luck, and, where they end up in other people's supply chains and things like that. But if we had a large scale, manufacturer grow here and start and grow here, I think that would be really transformative because it'd be a great local employer. We have so many programs that help train people to get jobs in advanced manufacturing, but then the reality is that they can't get to the jobs because the jobs are in South Windsor, or they're in Avon, or they're in Farmington, or places that you can't take a bus to get to. And if we had the ability to make it, a job you can jump and get to a neighborhood, that's what it'd be. I mean, that's what these buildings are really built for. If you were to take a 2 mile up view of Parkville, what you'd see is a bunch of factory buildings and houses and housing that was built around it to house the people who worked at the factories.
Yeah.
Right? That's how the neighborhood was designed. That's how the neighborhood was built. That's how it grew. And if we have a unique thing here in Connecticut where we still have manufacturing. Most states waved by to manufacturing a long time ago. Part of the challenge in Connecticut is our manufacturing is not located in urban environments largely anymore. The largest manufacturers aren't in the cities anymore. And there's challenges with that, but the more that could happen, the better. I'd love to see a place where there's, I've told Carlos this before, I'd love to see there be development where there's more opportunity for he says that people won't buy the properties, but me and my friends will, so we can talk about that later, Carlos.
Anytime.
We want to own the things that we build. We want to own the environment that we're helping to create. It only makes sense. So we certainly love to see more of that. I know there's one thing that's going to solve everyone's problems from a retail perspective, but certainly Park Street has great retail. I think Bartholomew will have growing and improved retail. We're trying to work on something with retail with Carlos at the moment. So, cross your fingers, maybe you'll see some more around here soon.
Okay. And then Carlos, from an employer standpoint, do you have an ideal employer that you would love to see move into Parkville?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see, either Hartford Healthcare or Trinity Healthcare open some sort of a clinic in Parkville. I would love to have Trinity College, U.S.A, UConn. I always thought if we're going to be the innovation corridor, wouldn't it be cool that with the cooperation from the colleges I mentioned, to have kind of a student housing, but not like a dorm, where all the minds can live together and collaborate. Engineers, architects, where they work together, maybe their junior, senior year, or taking their MBAs, where they can live in an environment. You have creative minds when they all living and working together, and live, work, and play there. That's what I'd like to see, more of that investment. And like I said, we're waiting for the state, promising. There was 3 cities that put this application for $100 million, and if you give it to 3 cities, 33 million each. And we've heard a little bit about it. Now they want $5 million to be invested by some big corporation. That money needs to get put to work, and it feels like it's drip, drip, drip. And I don't know. I just don't have the patience to wait for all of this. I just don't.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Another question now that kind of speaks to that, introducing Trinity and Trinity's students to Parkville from Liliana Poli. Does Trinity introduce Parkville to students as a friendly destination? And what can we do to encourage students, staff, and administrators to visit?
I've certainly had, I don't know, probably over a dozen interns from Trinity over the last 8 years. Probably well more than a dozen, probably like a couple dozen anyway. And I think your daughter was one, and I think there's a lot of good experiences that those folks have had. I certainly know that Trinity does a lot of work when students first get on campus, particularly freshman year, to try to take students on tours and get students off campus to experience other things. I did that a couple weeks ago for one of the student groups, was a part of that. I certainly know that I've seen Trinity students at my events in Parkville. I've certainly seen Trinity students at Parkville Market and around the street, and it's, Hartford's not a place without its challenges, but Hartford is a place that, Trinity students are kind of cobbled up on campus, and the working culture there assumes that there's no reason to leave, and they kind of build the environment that way. But the reality is that the opportunities off campus are great, and the more that we can get students to engage with the city and call the city home, the better off I think their experience will be, the better off that the neighborhood will be, the better off that the college in general will be. So that culture shift is an important one that still needs to happen, but there's built environment challenges with the way they've the city kind of came around the college. The college was essentially there first, when they built the college, there wasn't much around it, and the city kind of grew around it. So it wasn't built. It was built as a college on a hill, right? With open area around it. A lot of the houses are 100 years old or 150 years old, and so maybe not 150 years old, but you get my drift. The school was first, so. There is challenges there. We're doing a mural actually on Sunday. We're participating in an event. We're not doing the mural. There's a group doing a mural on Summit Street, which comes right down to Hamilton, which is we're I don't know, 5 blocks, Carlos, from Trinity, if that. It's easy going down. It's maybe a little bit more challenging walking back up that big hill, but you could do it. It's doable. We've had interns do it. So, and they've, they felt safe. They felt welcome. They enjoyed it. You get to walk through a beautiful park of Pope Park, where I was running last night with my dog and do so all the time. And it's a pretty good place to be.
Yeah. So Jeff, the mural, what is that going to be of?
I haven't seen it yet. I believe it's actually happening now. It's on the retaining wall of the Zion Hill Cemetery, and the implication was made to me that it's a reference to the city's motto, which is Latin for "after the clouds, the sun." So sounds like there'll be clouds and sun, but I haven't seen it.
Okay, but you're literally, that is being done as we speak. The mural. That's
I saw they had started to put up some. What do you call it when you paint what goes on the wall first before you put the actual color paint on? The primer was going on, and I'm under the impression they'll be inviting Trinity students and neighborhood folks to come help pitch in a hand, and we're providing some free food for the event.
Okay. Oh, fabulous. Okay. Now, so we've talked a lot about, things, if you could change one thing, excuse me, an employer coming into the area, because certainly you'd have the housing right there that Carlos is developing for workers, whether it's healthcare or manufacturing industries, the creation of a green space along the Park River, which sounds like that would be a wonderful investment, because I've seen a number of, needless to say, traffic through Hartford is something that's been criticized of late. And I've seen plans, certainly I know U.S. Rep John Larson has got a plan about how to improve that as well. Just in, thoughts on other things that could continue the vibrance of the Parkville neighborhood. Are there other things you haven't mentioned yet that you feel would really be great as far as an attraction that could be there that would bring more people to the neighborhood?
I think the attractions will come. I think, to Carlos's point, he's kind of been a man on a mission and largely alone. I think he needs some other friends to come and be developers and to have some, more folks in there. Carlos probably doesn't want to do this forever, and he's been doing it a long time, and he's done a great job. I think that's a big need. There's some interesting, exciting stuff potentially happen with Rural Artways. They're talking about doing a lot of investment over there to grow their amenities over there, the number of theaters, the offerings and stuff that they have. The highway plan is like a real conundrum. I get the sense that nothing is really going for it at the moment. Carlos and I have probably been part of 100 meetings in relation to what was the original I-84 project, and now
Right.
John Lawson's project was like a totally different project. And, they've talked a lot about, in Parkville, we've got like these massive off ramps that don't go anywhere,
Right.
and like take up a lot of space. And it's, it's on the periphery of the West End and Parkville. And, it would be great area to redevelop. It'd be a great area to create greater connectivity. We've got a lot of dead end roads if you're trying to go north south in Hartford, and you got a lot of obstacles in the way. And the more that we create, a better grid pattern, the more that we create connectivity and make it easier for people to get around, the better I think will be. But I don't even know if I want a magic wand for that. I think I need to be the senator to make that happen.
Right. Well, actually, a question that just popped into my head is, because Carlos, you mentioned the fast track. That obviously that's a rail line that's kind of cutting Parkville, it seems to me, into two sections. Is that we've talked about some of the challenges of it, but is that one of the challenges as well, or is it easy enough to get around it?
I don't think it's a challenge. I never really looked at a challenge. When you look at I-84, the way it divides the rest of the city, once it passes Parkville, is a different story, but I don't think so. I wish there was better lighting under there, more signage, which there isn't. And I'm sure Jeff can speak for itself. We're trying to get more lighting under I-84, more lighting under the train bridge, but I don't think it is. What do you think, Jeff?
Yeah, I would echo what Carlos says. It is like particularly narrow under there. Like running under there, you're on like you're kind of like, you can't even really be shoulder to shoulder on the sidewalk there, and you're kind of like 4 feet up, raised above the sidewalk, and it's a little gets a little narrow if you're like running your dog or you're just going for a walk or what have you. But it would be great, if there was some way to change that. That again, I don't know who you got to call to remove a brownstone underpass or remove that, but that seems like a challenge that's above our pay grade. I think the investment on Hamilton is going to make a big difference for connectivity. I think that's a road that like people locally and maybe some Trinity professors use and folks who like know that that's like a good way to get around. But the investment over there and making that a bigger hub for activity is just creating two ways to get to back and forth from New Park and Sisson to Bartholomew and beyond. I think that'll make a big difference. I think the connectivity down Bartholomew eventually to connect all the way to Flatbush is going to it's going to be a big change down the road for the city and for the community. The more we can do to connect to the positive activity that's happening on Park Street and the beautiful walkable neighborhood, you're not going to find a more diverse, like truly diverse, place to walk around, and definitely in Hartford County than the Park Street portion of Parkville. You're going to find Vietnamese, Brazilian, Portuguese. There's a new Puerto Rican bar that's opening up. There's 15 other different things that you can check out and experience there that is all even before you get to Parkville Market, where there's 20 other cultures and cuisines you can try out. So
wow, very diverse. Yeah. And one of the attendees has put into the question and answer an observation that says, I noticed that a lot of space under the highway overpasses near Parkville Market have recently been cleared out, which makes walking much more safe and enjoyable to us neighbors. So, definitely an endorsement of the ease and the improvement with getting around and enjoying the neighborhood. And Jeff, as you were just saying, it sounds like there's a lot of attractions there to definitely bring people into the neighborhood. And, Carlos, with the housing you're putting up, definitely people who they don't have to come there, they already are there, and they would use the infrastructure. So I'm noticing, go ahead.
Just so quickly, just on that 237, what I'm going to do on 189 apartments, I have room to build another 400 units.
Wow.
In the future.
Okay.
Yeah, there's lots of potential. Like I said, we just could use a little help.
Okay. No. And how would people, would they reach out to you directly, Carlos, or how would they get involved?
I mean, reach out to Jeff, myself, the city. I mean, we just, we really have, like I said, if people are look up Industry City in Brooklyn. It is a
Okay.
phenomenal place. We can be that place where we could have startups. People start with like at the market, 200 square feet, and do their thing, build their dream. If it's in whatever idea they have. I mean, it could be just a neighborhood that will have everyone that goes to college, doesn't go to college, and wants to start their dream. This is us. This is us, where you can go in with minimal rent. I have a Parkville Sounds that started in a basement with no windows, 200 square feet. Now they're looking at now they have 5,000 square feet, and they're looking to buy a building to do a recording studio in Parkville. That's
Wow.
where dreams come from.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that is a wonderul example of how vibrant the community is and the opportunities that are there. That's fabulous. We're close to time. I do want to thank Jeff and Carlos. Thank you very much for a wonderful discussion of Parkville and all the where it's kind of come from and all the wonderful opportunities that are emerging. Carlos, very much felt your passion and the need for help in the area. So thank you very much for joining us this evening. Before I turn it over to Carmen for our close, I did just want to let everybody know on November 17th, we will have our next speaker series event. It will be election 2022. The people have spoken. What did they say? And that will be handled by Professor Rennie Folco of Trinity College. With that, Carmen, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you to our panelists for speaking. Thank you, Carlos. Thank you, Jeff. And also, Matt, thank you for being our moderator. And we hope that you can join us for future events. Good night, everyone.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night.